The Carolina Hurricanes are literally tanking their team right now. I mean, honestly, so far, this has been the worst offseason in Hurricanes history. And like I had imagined worst case scenarios, okay, we may lose Dougie, this may happen, that may happen. And yeah, all the stuff that's happening right now is even worse than I thought. It is just awful. So I'll go through, so here are players for the Hurricanes that remain unsigned if I can find them. Give me a minute. I just didn't want to waste time, going through everything right now. So I found the list. So you have Cedric Paquette, which if we lose him, fair enough. He didn't do much for us in the playoffs. I did like the grit he bring. Jordan Martinook, who's been a great character guy for us, literally motivated the team, which pushed them to end the series in Game 6 after that terrible start to Game 6. So to me, he's not an important guy on the stat sheet. And this is something I think analytics are fine. I think it's a mix of analytics and eyesight test and just what someone brings to a team can go further than what analytics say. To me, Jordan Martinook is one of those people that is just an important piece to have in a locker room. And he may be a designated fourth liner, but to me, he's been an important fourth liner. Brind'Amour didn't give him the alternate captain because of how he is on the stat sheet. So Jordan Martinook, Brock McGinn, who's been a key piece, has gotten amazing depth goals for us. Just been one of the most important depth pieces the Hurricanes have had in the past 3 years. He's almost like the Nicholas Wallin of today, except Nicholas Wallin only had like 3 overtime playoff winning goals for us. And Andrei Svechnikov all have yet to be signed on offense. Now let's go to defense. Jacob Slavin, he's set. Brady Shea, good. Gardner, I mean, whatever. Brett Pesce, he's good. Yanni Hakanpää, depth guy, we can afford to lose him. We gave up Hayden Fleury for him, but we probably lose Hayden Fleury in the expansion draft, so same thing there. And then Dougie Hamilton, who is coming off a Norris, who I was coming into the offseason nervous about losing. That has changed. Goalies, Jonathan Bernier, pending UFA. James Reimer, pending UFA. Peter Mrazek, pending UFA. So all those guys, assuming tomorrow none of those guys re-sign, we're not going to have a goalie. We're going to have 4 defensemen, and we're going to lose a lot of leadership and important pieces of this team all in one go. And that's bad enough on its own. But we had a pending RFA goalie who we literally traded for one of those pending UFA goalies, so literally fixes nothing, and a pick that odds are, just based on the NHL standard, only 12% there's a 12% chance that pick's going to make the NHL. Which I've even pointed out, if you account for scouting, if you have a great scouting department, which we have had, because Brock McGinn, third round pick, and Brett Pesce, third round pick. Jacob Slavin, second round pick. So Canes have an amazing scouting department. That's still probably around 20% chance that the pick we traded to get that pending RFA makes it to the NHL. And then it's like veteran goalie. Marc-Andre Fleury, I don't think you could get more veteran than him, literally got traded for a random prospect. We can't give up one of those prospects for Fleury to come to our team, and then even if he retires, whatever, we gave up a random prospect. After today's draft, we got like 50 of them. So, we can't give up one of those guys for Marc-Andre Fleury, which I'm pretty sure Vegas would have been more willing to give to us, considering we're in the other conference. That's not worth a try. But Antti Raanta, fine, he's a decent goalie. I think there's another one that we were on the list for in terms of goalies that are good. Darcy Kuemper, who's done very well for Arizona, even though, he hasn't been playing for a good team. Darcy Kuemper is who I'm most happy about. But the problem is we're fixing a hole that we helped self-created. Even if you don't like Nedeljkovic, there's still nothing wrong with paying a young goalie $3 million for 2 years. So even if that contract ends up really bad, it's not long-term. That's a movable contract. If he's awful, you send him to the minors, and then you pay him for 2 years, then you just let him go then, and no one complains. That's terrible asset management right there. And not only that, we trade him for another pending UFA. Are you telling me Vegas wouldn't have traded Fleury for Nedeljkovic as a backup? I mean, just look at the market for some of the goalies. We don't have a goalie signed to our team. And then, And then let's look at who Carolina is also tied to, which really puts everything worse, is who we're looking to get. We are rumored to sign Jake Virtanen, who could legit be going to prison. So, there's that. Like, I mean, that's a nothing deal. You want to talk about having bad faith in a player? I think a player that could literally potentially be going to prison is a potentially really bad signing. And then you have Tony DeAngelo, who is a defenseman who puts up good offensive numbers, but that's all he brings. And you know who else brings that? Our Norris nominated defenseman. And I mean, when we traded Nedeljkovic, I'm like, okay, well then they better re-sign Dougie. So, like, yeah, Dougie Hamilton should be re-signed at this point if we're going to trade and make cap room for him and everything and try and fix some of the holes. Dougie's one of those people that should come back now to me. Like, I've changed my tone, and I've been critical of Dougie. He's still a better offensive defenseman than Tony DeAngelo, and he's not a locker room cancer. And, as much as you could say politics, like, I'm a right-leaning guy. I mean, like, I don't like really any party, but I lean right. However, I don't think Tony DeAngelo is not just a right leaning guy. He's a locker room cancer because there are many right leaning guys in the NHL. I think Logan Couture spoke about getting beat up in Canada as a Republican. So it's like you can be a Republican in the NHL and not be a locker room cancer. Tony DeAngelo is just a locker room cancer. That's what he is. So, there's no way you should be considering signing Tony DeAngelo as a replacement for Dougie because Tony DeAngelo off a career high literally was so bad in the locker room with the Rangers that he got bought out. And the Rangers are a team that needed offensive defensemen like him. So you should not be considering him a valid replacement for Dougie fucking Hamilton. It's just no. And, Jake Virtanen, I don't even want to get into that. Like, it's just, that's almost as bad as if they drafted Logan Mailloux, which who knows, maybe they were one of the second round teams that were planning on drafting Logan Mailloux in the second round, which is why Montreal took him in the first round. Like, honestly, signing Jake Virtanen would be as bad as that to me. So, yeah, like, it's like this organization was, like, primed for success and they are figuring out a way to tank the team. And let's also not forget, Andrei Svechnikov should be an easy signing, $7 or $8 million for like is how much you pay the guy, maybe $5 million if you want a bridge deal. But that's how much Andrei Svechnikov should be re-signed. So yeah, like this whole like Carolina is terrible at negotiating. I don't really have faith that they can sign UFAs except for Tony DeAngelo. Like, is that who we're going to get? Is that our big free agency move when we need goalie? We now need grit depth, and we need an number two offensive defenseman. Because I like Brady Shea. He's a solid top four defenseman, but that's what he is. Brady Shea is a solid top four defenseman. You need an offensive defenseman who can match with Jacob Slavin, and Dougie Hamilton is the perfect guy for that. And I get that it can be harder because Chicago signed Seth Jones for 9.5, so that makes the contract a lot more difficult. But you got to re-sign Dougie Hamilton if you're going to give up Nedeljkovic to make cap room and get a veteran goalie. But all the veteran goalies that appear to be on the market, mainly the one that just won the Vezina, is on the table for nothing. Even if he retires, whatever. Like, if we got Fleury, which he was apparently on the block because literally nothing for him. I mean, it's just when you look at what's going on in the NHL, the fact that Carolina, who desperately needs a goalie, isn't calling him and being like, hey, we'll give you a couple prospects. You can't match Chicago's offer for Fleury. I mean, yeah, this is Carolina's figuring out how to tank all this success. I was thinking, I feel like the Islanders are going to end up becoming our biggest rival in the NHL because we're the two teams that appear to have the most long-term success. We're both getting good at the right time. We're probably going to be competing each other once we're in the same division. Honestly, the way things are going, I don't even know if we're going to be a constant second or third round team in the NHL anymore. I don't. And that's not the way you should be feeling when a team was looking to be on this trajectory as quickly as they were. Like this has been the worst offseason in franchise history. And I've been a Canes fan since '06. Some of them I don't remember, but even when you look at the trades Carolina was making, the issue is Carolina wasn't making nothing deals. They weren't making awful moves the way they are now. This is just It's ridiculous. I mean, this is the worst offseason in Hurricanes history. This is some of the most mismanagement I've heard, and the worst part is it's coming out of nowhere. Don Waddell, for a while, was proving me wrong on signing him. He was making really good moves. Even the moves I disagreed with, he was making, ended up working out for us. And now all of a sudden, it's like we've completely changed general managers. Our ownership has completely changed attitudes on spending to the cap and everything because we haven't even re-signed our pending UFA second round pick who probably is the best player out of that draft. We haven't re-signed him yet. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable how mismanaged the Hurricanes have become all of a sudden. I'm even doubting whether we make the playoffs next year the way this offseason is going. I don't see how we make the playoffs. So that's it. If you guys like the content I'm producing on the channel, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Click the bell if you want to be located notified on whenever I talk about the Hurricanes because, I could understand if you weren't based on how bad things are going, but you can do that if you want. I don't see why you would. And yeah, comment down below your thoughts on the Hurricanes offseason because for me, it's been terrible. So.